All right, Shalom. Before I start, I give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakakodash, the honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all the elect Akim wa Akwath, learning, teaching in truth and sincerity. Another video through the Spirit. Your brother Malak from GMS Detroit. All right, right here. I'm gonna let the elders out in Connecticut play for a second, because the elder to the left, Tazadakia, he's going to make a statement, that was the inspiration for this video. He's going to mention about Santa Claus. That season just passed, right? December 25th. And so we're going to be taking a look at the actual figure himself. Who was this Santa Claus? Was he actually a fat white guy in a red jumpsuit that squeezes down impossibly small chimneys? All right. And when you do the digging in the history, you come to find out that the answer is no. The real Saint Nicholas, based off of, the Santa Claus is based off of a man known as Saint Nicholas, right? From the area of Turkey. All right. He was a so-called black man, a Negro, if you saw him today. So we're going to look at his origins and how he went from being, so-called black to so-called white. All right. We're going to have to throw in some iconoclasm, right? We're going to look into some history. And this is the common theme with a lot of historical figures today, that we were improperly taught are white, but when you do some real digging, come to find out they're Negroes. So it just is what it is. So once again, white supremacy, y'all got some explaining to do. America, you got some explaining to do. All right, let's let it play.
Niggas is not gonna get this, man. You gotta take the scriptures say that a lot of these niggas' mind conscience is seared with a hot iron. So they gonna go to the grave with a falsehood, even if you prove it to them that it's false. You got some people that know damn well that who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, which his real name is Yahushai. They know the son of the Most High ain't a white man, but they gonna go to the grave with that, or they gonna.
And with that statement, real quick, y'all, because there might be some scoffers or just some regular people who are not in the loop that come across this video. What I'm about to prove to you is just like what the elder said here. I'm about to prove, that so-called Santa Claus was a black man, Saint Nicholas. Despite that, there are still people that are going to go to their grave believing he's a fat white guy who flies with reindeer. And that's just a lie. There are people, no matter how many times we go to the scriptures, no matter how many precepts, no matter how many relics are shown to show the true color of the biblical Israelites, that today they're the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Despite all the proof, you have certain people who rather believe in that lie and trust in that lie because it's what they grew up and it's more comfortable. Nevertheless, it's a lie. So, like it or not,
Say color don't matter. You got people that know Santa Claus don't exist, but they gonna go to the grave with that bullshit, man. You see, and see, like what the brother said, right? They're gonna go to their grave believing it, but guess what? There was a man named Saint Nicholas who was a black man.
Oh yeah.
He was a Negro, what you call a Negado.
Oh yeah.
All right. There was a real Saint Nicholas who was a black man, not a fat white guy with a red suit going around with reindeer. No, that didn't happen.
Coca-Cola invented that.
Coca-Cola invented that, like Bishop Desire wanted to. Coca-Cola invented that shit.
Cocaine cola.
Yeah, but right. Saint Nicholas was real, and he was a black man.
That's right.
And they did iconoclasm on Saint Nicholas, just like they did iconoclasm on Saint Patrick.
Mm-hmm. So let's go prove that statement. Saint Nicholas was a black man, whom so-called white people, the biblical Edomites, right, racist, Eurocentric white folk, committed iconoclasm, destroying of the images, hid as many as they can, and erected him as a white man, as they've done with many historical figures. So let's go prove it now. And actually, real quick, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go grab the scripture that Elder Menatazak had mentioned. Give me 1 second. Timothy, real quick. 1 second. I'm sorry, y'all. Yep. Uh, 1 Timothy 4:1, it says, "Now the Spirit speaketh expressly, that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils." Verse 2, "Speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron." Right. A person's conscience who is seared as a hot iron is what? Someone whose mind will not change, no matter what evidence, no matter what proof, no matter is laid before them, they're going to continue to believe in whatever they believed in. Why is that? Because they've been deceived by Satan. So despite all the articles I'm about to grab, the pictures that are right here in front of you, you're still gonna have people that want to argue about it. This is just easy Google search, right? Type in Black Saint Nicholas. Now, immediately off back, what do you see? Right? Pictures of a dark-skinned man, a painting of a man. And these weren't made in the year 2020. These aren't AI images. These images are centuries years old of Saint Nicholas, the original images before the iconoclasm. All right, and I'm just letting you see real quick, right? You have an article up there, you have a wiki page, and of course the wiki page, what do they have? They have a white painting, and we're going to address why that is. Another article, African Times, Cura, right? So this ain't Zwarte Piet, which we're going to get to that. This ain't just blackwashing. A new term that white folk didn't like to came up with is blackwashing, to say that we're trying to change. No, we've finally discovered true history that you whitewashed. All right. So I'm just letting you see there's multiple sources on this. This ain't no made up thing. All right. So what we're going to do now, go to, not this one of those articles, not this one, not this one. Okay, I'll come back. I'll just click on it manually. This article right here. Question: Who is the real Saint Nicholas? By the African Times USA. Right? It says, who is the real Saint Nicholas? It says Nicholas was born during the 3rd century in the village of Patara in what is now the southern coast of Turkey. He was born of a very wealthy ethnic black Anatolians of the ancient Roman Empire. According to tradition, Saint Nicholas, still young, traveled to Palestine and Egypt. He became Bishop of Myra, otherwise known as Mur, if you know the history, soon after returning to Lycia. He was one of those ancient and dominant black Moors of the European Mediterranean that you only fleetingly come across in today's Western history, because the Gothic Europeans would hide the true and rich black history in Europe. Precisely. So it's well known, where this man spawns out of, right, where he came from. And the author put in at the end, which is a true statement, says what? Because the Gothic Europeans, meaning the so-called white Europeans, the Edomites, would hide the true and rich black history in Europe, right? Which I just did a video on last night, dealing with some of that, right? After the Renaissance era, the white folk who came out the caves begin to destroy images, burn them, destroy statues, right? When we're going to get into that with the Reformation period, right? One of the things they did during the French Revolution, during the reign of terror, a year was at 1793 to 1794. You had the French were destroying all things related to the church, right? It was an anti-clerical movement. They were destroying churches, statues, paintings, right? Sacrilegious destruction all throughout Europe. And what were they destroying? All the black, dark-skinned imagery, knocking noses off of statues, right? Trying to get rid of paintings like this. Saint Nicholas. Just a little bit about his life. It says Nicholas's wealthy parents died in an epidemic While Nicholas was still young, being a devout Christian, he followed the words of, it says, Jesus, which we know is Yahweh Shai, to sell what you own and give the money to the poor, uh, teaching that took him through his life. Nicholas used his whole inheritance to assist the needy, the sick, and the suffering. He was made the bishop of Myra while still a young man. The high office of Nicholas at such a young age speaks to the dominant role played by black Anatolians and Africans in creating the church as we know it today. Right? So basically, you find out that this man was a very generous man. Right? That's where the idea of, the gift giving comes from. Right? He was going around helping folk out with his riches because that part of the gospel in particular spoke to him. I'm going to jump down now. Let me see. Generosity of St. Nicholas. It says Bishop Nicholas was known throughout the land for his generosity to those in need, his love for children, and his concern for sailors and ships. Under the Roman Emperor Diocletian, Bishop Nicholas suffered for his faith while exiled and in prison. After his release, Nicholas attended the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, where he worked with other early fathers of the church to establish a standardized Christian doctrine of today, right? In which the Council of Nicaea, many things they went off on. All right, I did a video on that not too long ago. Elders and apostles have done plenty of videos on that. It says he died December 6th, 343 AD in Myra and was buried in his cathedral church, where a unique relic called manna formed his grave. The anniversary of his death became a day of celebration, St. Nicholas Day, December 6th, December 19th on the Julian calendar. Right. And it's funny now, the elder Taziawan and elder Menatazak, they had mentioned at the end of that, at the first clip I had played, Coca-Cola, in which you see it right here. That idea of a fat white guy wearing red, that is complete media. That's a media concoction that all you people believe. You teach your children, right? You gather around the Christmas tree, December 5th. And you've lied to your children, told them a fat white guy in red gave them gifts. Where did that idea come from? Santa Claus we celebrate now says the Santa we and all children know about came in 1931 as part of Coca-Cola Christmas holiday poster and used almost every Christmas holiday as their special holiday greeting. All right, so this themed Santa Claus that people worship today is literally a concoction. It's mythological. Look at these pictures, these that we're seeing of him, right? That's the real deal. He was a dark-skinned man from Anatolia, all right? All right, what's known today as Turkey. That's without a doubt. So you come back here, right? Now, you see this right here. It says he was a Greek man. He looked like other Greeks and people of the Caucasus, such as Armenians. Greeks and people of the Caucasus are white/Caucasian. He was not black. Now, unfortunately, most people run around today or over here in the West, you went through the American school system, the American mythological school system. So you have no idea of history in its proper context. You don't know who lived where. And many of you automatically assume that because a person was born in a certain region, that they're supposed to have a certain physical appearance. All right. Many people lived in Greece. All Greece didn't just have white people. All right. And to assume that all Greeks are white is an idiot's statement. All right, as we just learned where he was born. So you see these images right here, right? This is a part of the iconoclasm that was done, right? Saint Nicholas, here it is. You have all the original images of him being dark. So where do these images of him being white come from? Well, and we're going to get into that deeper here in a moment. But you see here, Saint Nicholas. Now these are the original image. You can literally see these pictures, they even look, now these are drawings. Obviously, someone took a picture of these ancient paintings, right? They literally look older than these. I can already tell you, I can look at these and already tell you what era they came from, right? They have not degraded to such degree. If you have any smarts, if you know your history, your periods, you should already be able to look at these and tell these came during the Renaissance era, right? Immediately, without too much guesswork. But when you look at these are easily could have been, he died in 3rd century, right? These paintings literally, 6th, 7th, 8th century style of painting coming out of the area of Russia. And I'm gonna prove that with a video clip later. So here we see Saint Nicholas, and we see other saints, right down here at this yellow part. It says, icon of Saint Nicholas, the miracle worker, Nicola of Zarsk, with scenes from his life. Moscow, early 16th century. Exactly. So this is coming out of Russia. It says century wood with ark, Polovka, linen canvas, State Hermitage Museum, St. Petersburg, Russia. Right. So in Russia, in a museum, they have many of these old paintings still to this day, which I'm gonna pull up that clip on YouTube. So this isn't a lie. This is the real authentic paintings of St. Nicholas. All right, we're going to read some of this, but we'll just let you see some of these paintings. Right here it says Santa Claus, aka St. Nicholas or St. Nick, invented in 1881 via illustration by Thomas Nance. So we see here that this idea of a white man dressed up in red, this came about between late 1800s and 1900s. Late 1800s, early 1900s, right? Coca-Cola, selling their brand, them being the racist devils that they were. And obviously America was founded by a bunch of racist, bigoted butchers and slaughterers. That's undetestable. Yeah, I said the word right. Uncontestable, excuse me. You can't contest that. I'm just showing these paintings, right? Saint Procopius of Utysyk, Saint Tryphon of Pechenga, right? These are dark-skinned men, black men. And if you want to say, oh, well, the paint got dark over... No, nigga. They have the ability to... They have black paint right there. Look at his clothing. They have white paint. Look around them. They chose to draw these people with brown skin. Why? Because they were brown-skinned men in reality. Saint Michael of Chernigov, Saint Barlaam of Kutin, Saint Sergius and Hermann of Valum, or Valum, Saint German of Solovki, Saint Joseph Volotsky. All right, so what you like with the previous video, y'all, the Dark Ages, Negroes ruled over Europe for approximately 1,000 years, and we left behind many paintings and whatnot of ourselves. Why were we not shown these paintings in the traditional education system growing up? Throughout them 12 years, many of y'all ain't never seen none of these paintings. Where is this art at? Where is this architecture at? Where is this history at? Right? Russian icon St. Nicholas rescuing Dmitri. Painting of Constantine the Great, Roman Emperor and Christian saint of the Orthodox Church. Yeah, he was a nigga, but he was going off because he helped introduce a lot of BS into into the doctrine, if you will. Painting of Tsar Alexis Mikolovich of Russia. This was a brown-skinned man, and he was a czar, meaning a king in Russia. Excuse me, I had that phone call. I'm just letting y'all see all these, right? Tsar Ivan the Fourth, the Terrible, right? And if you didn't know, Tsar Ivan the Terrible was a what? A black man. Whether you like that or believe that or not. And now the thing about the Russians, they don't have a problem admitting that there was black royalty, right? That Alexander Pushkin, right? They don't get all bent out of shape about that. But you white people over here in the West in America, You, for whatever reason, you get extremely bent out of shape when history comes out showing dark skinned people in positions other than swinging from trees and being slaves, right? You have a real big hard on uh, concerning that issue. So just coming back here, it says Saint Nicholas. Uh, he was born March 15th, 270 to December 6th, 343 AD. Was a black Greek. A black Greek. Why? Because many of them existed. It wasn't just white people in Greece. Right? Born in Asia Minor, Greek Anatolia, and the Eastern Roman Empire, to a Greek family in the city of Patara, Lycia et Pamphylia, which was a port on the Mediterranean Sea in present-day Turkey. He lived in Myra, Lycia, part of modern-day Demir, Turkey, at a time when the region was Greek in its heritage, culture, and outlook, and politically part of the Roman Diocese of Asia. Right, so he was Hellenized. He was a Hellenized Jew, essentially. Right, he was an Israelite, a so-called black man, and his family was under Greek influence. I mean, what? They were Hellenized, right? You should know the history of Hellenization. This is nothing new. It says he was the only son of wealthy Christian parents named Ephanias and Joanna, according to some accounts. Let me see. It's just given his life, right? He became the bishop. There was a certain part I wanted to read. Okay, yeah, actually that's it. Just just reaffirming where he was from. So he was a real man, born to real people. But you learn that, he comes from a Hellenized family, right? Black Greeks, if you will. Let me come back here. Okay. Cura. So you see this right, this upper part, that's the modern delusion. But then when you dig down, that's when you get a little bit closer to reality. All right. This is another website. Was the real Santa Claus black? Is this Zwarte Piet? Yeah, it says the Dutch have been getting their knickers in a twist these days about the skin color of Zwarte Piet, Black Pete, Santa Claus helper. But perhaps the commotion is all about the wrong person. For the earliest icons of Saint Nicholas or Santa Claus, the origin of Santa Claus suggests that he was the black man. Maybe we've had it wrong all these centuries, and that's true. So now, real quick, we gotta see, what is Zwarte Piet. What is that? Zwarte Piet, also known in English by the translated name Black Pete, is the companion of Saint Nicholas. Traditionally, Zwarte Piet serves as an assistant to the saint and distributes sweets and gifts to well-behaved children. So literally, y'all, Black Pete. Now, you have them Dutch over there. There was a couple years ago they had gotten in trouble in the media because people thought that they were doing blackface, which to a degree they were. Right here, you see them. They're making fun of black people. To a degree they were, but actually, literally, y'all, they were just dressing up as Zwarte Piet, Santa Claus's black helper. Now, let's use a little bit of brain power. I'm gonna get some scriptures in a minute, y'all, but this just requires a lot of history, a lot of talking, a lot of breakdown. Let's use some brain power. Does it make more sense for some white guy to be rolling around with a black servant, or would it make more sense for a black man to be rolling around with his fellow black man helping him out? Exactly. Exactly. Uh, the depiction of Zwarte Piet has gone through several changes since the mid-19th century. Why is that? Because they're trying to get rid of that history. The earliest known illustration of their character comes from an 1850 book by Amsterdam schoolteacher Jean Schinkelman and portrays him as a black Moor. This became the dominant representation of Zwarte Piet throughout the 20th century. Those portraying the traditional version of the character, since deemed a racial stereotype, usually put on blackface and colorful Renaissance attire in addition to curly wigs and bright lipstick. Right. So, that just explained what I just said. He actually was a black man, but when the white people dress up as him today, obviously they're going to get accused of blackface. Uh, so a black Moor. What is a black Moor? It's a type of figure and visual trope in European decorative art, blah, blah, blah. So it's typically found in works of the early modern period depicting a man of sub-Saharan African descent, usually in clothing that suggests high status. Uh, Common examples, items, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so basically, these were dark-skinned folk of high status, right? The Moors, if you know about the Moors, they held down for 700 years, all right, finally being toppled out of Granada, Spain, which is why some of the first slaves in the transatlantic slave trade came from Spain and Portugal before they even came from the west coast of Africa, all right? So I'm not going to spend too much long on this, but this is just further proof. How come you didn't learn about the Black Moors in school? I'll tell you why. Because the so-called white man is the devil. Let me just get some real quick. I just want to get the pictures on them. I'm not digging too deep in them. So right here, it says what? You see Black Pete helping a white Santa, right? Which is a fabrication. The Black Pete, Zwarte Pete, he looks right. He's dark skinned. But St. Nicholas is supposed to be a dark skinned man. So we see they gave a little bit of truth, but then they threw the rest of the lie in there with it, right? It didn't call him a slave. It says that this is his companion. So which one is it? And when you do the research, you realize that he is a dark-skinned man, talking about Saint Nick. The idea of a fat white man wearing red is mythological. But once again, these people, they have a history of lying and changing, the course of history for their own benefit. As a matter of fact, let me get that out of Isaiah. The fact that we're, even arguing about shit like this and have to discuss this it goes to show you what. Where's it at? No, it's further down. Gross darkness. The people are in a what? Yep, perfect. Isaiah 60:2. It says, "For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh, shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee." All right, dealing with the upper part of this verse. It says that there's a gross darkness upon the people. Does this mean there's a black cloud floating over everyone's head? No. The minds of modern day folk are so supremely ignorant above any other batch of humans that have ever lived on the face of the earth. You people in the modern era have absolutely no idea about the past. You have absolutely no idea about what's going on around you currently, and you have no idea about what's about to happen in your immediate and or long-term future. You are in mental darkness. You believe everything that was presented in front of you. You eat the foods they tell you to eat. You watch on TV what they tell you. You wear what they tell you. And you argue with us about the lies that were given to you from your childhood. And we know the truth now, and you simply don't. All right. So let me get to the next one now. Okay, I was here. Coming back here, right? I only want one thing out of here, really. It just reiterates where he was born, all that stuff, right? But I want one thing out of here because, let me see, where's that? Let me double check. Okay, right here. And now this article, this was put together by, a so-called white man, right? This ain't no Jeff Fountain. This ain't no, wait a minute. Yeah, so this is at the top left it says what? Human-centered European studies. So this isn't blackwashing. This isn't some random black guy who just got on internet and created his own website. No, this is a guy, he specializes, he likes to scour European history. All right, when you jump down to the last couple paragraphs, all right, we'll start at it says what? Celebrations climax in the great 12th century Romanesque basilia built to house his relics, where depictions of the saint clearly show Nicholas is black skin in Spain. It says, so how did our Santa Claus Father Christmas become so pale? And why do Dutch parents tell their children that the scent comes from Spain? Well, it's complicated. So it has to do with the Spanish Empire of Charles V and Philip II's absorbing southern Italy and Bari, thus introducing the feast to the West. Spanish sailors may have introduced the story to the Dutch. The feast survived the radical changes brought by the Reformation to Amsterdam, and we're going to get into that, the Reformation period. Says to Amsterdam and Dutch Protestants settling New Amsterdam at the mouth of the Hudson River took with them the feast of an already white Sinterklaas. So this guy, he's English isn't his first language, so there's going to be some errors in his typing. I can tell. It says when the English took control and the city became New York, the scent became Santa Claus. Meanwhile, back in Europe, the feast was embellished with elements of the Germanic god Odin, who rode the skies on his white horse. Wow. So that's where the idea of flying reindeer comes from. A little bit of a mix of Greek of Norse mythology. It says finishing touches of today's Santa Claus came when Coca-Cola commissioned Norman Rockwell to create a jolly fat figure dressed in the red and white company colors. Come on, man. That red and white fat white man is modern day is a creation of daggone Coca-Cola. That's why he was holding that Coca-Cola drink, right? In a combination with, you know, iconoclasm after the Reformation period. It says, that's really it. That's what I mainly wanted. And so, even down here in the comments, somebody said, "Man, you should mail this to the mayor of Amsterdam." And Jeff, he replied, he said he did. He got no response yet. And exactly, of course, he's not going to. Ooh, and look at what he said himself. He said, "Tim, I did write the mayor. No response yet. A black or at least darker." He said, y'all at least make the nigga darker. What? It says Sint, aka Santa Claus, would be closer to historical record, as well as to the skin color of the average Amsterdamer today. It said it would totally reframe the Zwart Piet debate, eliminating the white supremacy racist factor. And that's exactly what it is. The idea of everybody in history being white, everyone of power and position was white, and everyone that was lowly was black. That is racist white supremacy reinforced in these school systems. All right. And now it mentions in there the Reformation period. So what was the Reformation period? It says the Reformation period was a religious, cultural, and social upheaval in Europe that took place in the 16th century and is considered a crucial event in Western history. The Reformation is generally considered to have begun in 1517 with the publication of Martin Luther's 95 Theses and ended around 1648 with the Treaty of Westphalia. All right, it says impact down here. It says what the Reformation changed the European cultural, religious, social, and political landscape. Now, if I clicked on this, I'd be here for hours. So we're not diving deep into it. But the main thing that to take away from the Reformation period is basically the church's version of iconoclasm. A bunch of European whites did their best to erase the original history of, so-called people of color having connection to the scriptures. And that's where guys like, Vocab, he's a Protestant, right? So the guy that he believes in, Martin Luther and all that other shit, these guys were racist whites who wanted to reframe the Bible, which is why, the Protestants in particular, they don't deal with the Apocrypha. Why is that? Because Apocrypha helps prove the validity of who the Israelites are today, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and it shows you how the period of Hellenization affected the Israelites, right? And it also shows, who'd be ruling in the end time, the Edomites. So during the Reformation period, y'all, they was tearing up the understanding of the scriptures. After the Middle Age, it says it is considered one of the events that signified the end of the Middle Ages in the beginning of the early modern period in Europe. When the Reformation era ended is disputed among scholars, right? So after the Dark Ages, Renaissance era, when they're changing history, they begin to commit what? Iconoclasm is a term that describes the destruction or intentional damage of images, often as a result of religious, political, or social unrest. It has occurred in Europe multiple times, including when? The Byzantine iconoclasm, right? The 16th century iconoclasm. This period during the Reformation, when iconoclasm swept through countries like England, Germany, and France, and Wittenberg. Germany, Andreas Bodenstein von Carletz led a period of iconoclasm from 1518 to 1512. 18th and 19th century. This period was marked by the widespread destruction of church property, including the confiscation and secularization of many images and objects. The French Revolution was part of this process, right? Which I already mentioned that. During the French Revolution, this time period in particular was known as the Reign of Terror, a specific year where they straight up said, we're about to wipe out we're getting rid of all the old images, we knocking noses off of statues, anything showing dark-skinned people's connection to the scriptures, to the Bible, paintings, all of it, is when they did much of their ability to destroy it all. The Reformation period is all a part of that. All right. The so-called white man committed iconoclasm upon the Bible and its original people, which is us, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All you gotta do is hop on Google. So I got one clip and we'll end it. All right, so I got this clip right here. So despite all the Googling we did, articles, oh man, you don't know what you're talking about, man. Oh man, y'all black people, y'all just trying to say everything. No, okay, all right. Here, well, I got this clip for you. Just shut up and watch this. Sit down. Hear ye, little white supremacists. Sit quiet and watch.
Icons dating back to the 14th century brought together from private collections across Russia.
It's very beautiful. It gives you goose pimples. It's a remarkable exhibition.
It's an exhibition which feeds the senses. Everything is so grey outside at the moment, and here suddenly it's a feast for the eyes.
And it's a feast that marks 100 years since religious icons started to be recognised as works of art. Before then, they were mainly viewed as religious objects, often left blackened over the centuries by the passage of time and added layers of paint.
And like I said earlier, they're not blackened over the passage of time. The people who illustrated these, they clearly have the ability to use different paint. It's a common cop-out they like to say. Don't believe that batch of BS. But you see here, these are clearly dark-skinned folk. Like, it's without debate. The house is red, the roof is blue. They purposely use brown on these people's skin because that's what the original people were.
When
we learned how to remove the dark layers, we discovered underneath an overwhelming beauty.
When we learned how to remove the dark layers. So what does that imply, y'all? These pictures could even be darker. So you see how brown they are here. They could have been even a bit darker, right? So they bleached many of these paintings and brightened them up, and they're still evidently dark-skinned people. Look on their they have the ability to make pale-skinned people. Look at the white clothing that they have on. These people were made brown-skinned because they were brown-skinned. That is the reality of the situation.
Such an extent that it shocked André Matisse, who was in Moscow at the time. He said, it's here that artists should come to learn to paint, not to Italy.
But today, only a small number of these masterpieces remain. Most were destroyed during the Soviet era.
These icons are the survivors. If museums hadn't saved them, they wouldn't exist today. There are 50,000 icons in Russian museums. Before, there were millions.
But now the future of this part of Russian heritage is up for debate. Are the icons best held by museums, or should they be returned to the country's churches?
There were millions. Now there's only 50,000. Why is there only 50,000? Because of iconoclasm, right? Reformation period. They went through destroying these images. Iconoclasm, y'all. They went through destroying these images. And even still, we have just enough left to be able to find out what the people actually look like. Who's this right here? This is Joseph, this is Mary, and this is the son, Yahweh Shai, the Lord. They're all dark-skinned folk. So, hey, I can see why you Americans don't like Russians, because they over here snitching on you. So that's about it, y'all. It is what it is. Santa Claus was a dark-skinned man. So, what you have to do is accept the truth, right? Don't get mad at us. Don't get mad at me. Accept the fact that you were made to believe a lie, all right? And this truth has been presented in front of you. What are you going to do about it? Oh, man, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay. That museum speaks for itself. You can say whatever you want to say about me. You saw what you saw. Like it or not. So, hey, that's about it, y'all. Let me give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakodash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all the elect Akim Wa Akwath, learning and teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom.